Are you struggling to play the F chord on guitar? Now this chord can be tricky for a lot of guitar players. In fact, there's a reason why it's called the F chord. Many guitarists hate and avoid it like the plague. But I can show you how to not be one of those guitar players, pain-free and playing these shapes with a whole lot less effort. So in this video, I want to reveal 7 ways that you can play the F chord. But before we dive into all that, let's go back to the beginning. And I want you to understand what an F chord is. So it's built from a theoretical point of view the same way any other major chord is. And you can think about this as the root, the third, the fifth of the F major scale. Or you could also think of it in terms of intervals, which is basically just a way of using sort of like building blocks to create a chord. So let's say I started on the note F, which is this 3rd fret on the 4th string. Now, a major chord is built by stacking a major 3rd on top of a minor 3rd. So these are just 2 ways of stacking up notes. And a major 3rd is 4 half steps away, essentially. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I take this note and then I add the note that's 4 half steps up from there, then that's going to be that note right there on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So I've got a major 3rd there from F to A, and then I said it's a major 3rd and then a minor 3rd. So the minor 3rd is 3 half steps. It's 1 half step less than a major 3rd. So 1, 2, 3. That note is the note C, which can also be played right here. So I've got the notes F, A, and C. And this is what's called a triad. Any major chord is a triad. Like if I play an F chord anywhere on the neck and I break up the notes and figure out what they are, F, C, F, A, C, F, it's always going to be some combination of F, A, C. They don't have to be in that order. They could be A, C, F. They could be C, F, A. Could go like this, A, F, C, and get some cool variations. But that's it on a fundamental level. It's just those 3 notes. Now, if you've struggled with being able to work out chords and understand the fretboard like what I'm showing you here, then go to johnmclennan.com/fretboard guide and grab my free fretboard guide PDF. I'm going to show you 5 powerful shapes along with 5 scales that go with those shapes, and you can use this to unlock the fretboard. It works for playing rhythm and lead in any style. And it's completely for free. Just go to johnmclennan.com/fretboard guide. Now, since you have the theory down, from there you may be wondering, well, what's the easiest way to play an F chord? Well, as I mentioned, any of those 3 notes, you can come up with an F chord. Now, some of those shapes are going to require more skills as a guitar player than others. Some might require muting with the strum hand or the fretting hand, or even barring with, your fretting hand over here. So I want to give you a cheat way, just a quick answer, and then explain a long answer as well. So the quick answer would be play this. Take those 3 notes, F, A, C, and then you can add the 1st string in there, okay? And you're just going to play from the 4th string down like this. Now, it's important that I point out this is actually an F major 7 chord. So it has a slightly jazzier sound, right? With that open E string in there. Now, this won't work in every song, but it will work in a lot of songs that are in the key of C. And you can use this F major 7, and it doesn't require you to bar, and you really just aim with your strum hand from 4 down there, and you can get a great sound. So that's the first sort of quick way to do that. Try that out. The next way I want to show you is what I call the middle strings F, that again doesn't have any barring to it. I'm playing on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and right underneath that 3rd fret, 2nd fret, then 1st fret. So I'm playing from strings 5 to 2, and this is a great chord because you're on the middle strings. You can get a real meaty sound without having to bar, and you can also go pretty easily from C to F like that. Now you want to not play the low E or the high E, so you're going to mute those. It's okay to just kind of mute them off with your fretting hand. The next way, the third way, would be the half F, or what some people call the little F chord, the tiny F chord. And this has a bar to it, but we're going to play from the 4th string down like we did that first chord, F major 7, but we're going to bar with the index here. So we get this little bar on the 1st fret. Now, I honestly find this harder to do. Many guitarists have a hard time playing this chord, and then other times too, I'll say, oh, well, I'll be talking to a student and they'll be struggling with, say, an F bar chord. And then I'll say, oh, well, try this little F. And they're like, oh, I got to play the baby F. I got, like, it's some, kind of, step down, like they're not as good. And that's not really true. This is actually a great chord. You could use this all the time, like all over the neck. Like, you could use that, like Eric Clapton uses it in Sunshine of Your Love. But the idea is that you're just playing from 4 down there and you're getting a little bar. Now from there, you can actually combine the chord I showed you previously on the middle strings with barring a little bit. So this is from 5 down, and this is a great chord. This is a really good chord. You get the middle strings there, but then you bar with the index. And I use this shape quite a bit. You can move it up and down the neck, and you don't have to quite go to that full bar, which is what we're going to talk about next. Behold, this is the dreaded F bar chord here, and this is 1 3 3 2 1 1. So what I did was bring that index up, and then I've got to get this note as well as those pesky top notes, which tend to often get muted a lot. So this is the chord that I've actually seen make guitar players cry. And it's the one many players have been practicing for 50 years and still struggle with getting consistently. They can also do a lot of long-term irreversible damage to their hand when it's not played correctly. And learning to play it correctly usually takes about 30 days. Some students get it faster. Some students actually have to go through my methods on this twice. Usually that's about 60 days. But the point is you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it and you're not actually hurting your hands. Now, if you've struggled with this, you can get on my email list and find out more. But I talk to a lot of guitar players that have, thumb pain and they get fatigued. They can't actually play for an extended period of time. They wonder, like, how do the pros, how can they play for hours, without, their hands just not having the stamina. So you can find out more about that on my website or just getting my fretboard guide. But I want to get to the 7th point here. And this is actually my favorite one, which is the F chord shape like this, but you do it as a Jimi Hendrix style thumb chord. And the beautiful thing about this is once you learn this, you can start, playing these cool fills and notes off the chord simply by wrapping your thumb over the top. Now, if you're on a classical guitar, a nylon string, the neck is going to be a lot wider, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to do. So keep that in mind. And it's also sort of like doing the splits. You have to learn and train into it. A lot of players just immediately try it and go, oh, I can't do it. But this is something that's it could take years to develop, And so you have to start getting used to that. But once you do, it's really advantageous for just playing relaxed. So this gets to my next point, which is why is the F chord so hard to play on guitar? Well, if we go back to that theory that I talked about where the notes are F, A, and C, and let's say we compared that to an E minor chord. Well, an E minor chord uses the notes E, G, and B. So that right there is probably the easiest E minor of all time, right? Like just those 3 notes. But F has the notes F, A, and C. So can I play any of those notes open? Well, I can play this one as an A, but a lot of times putting that note in the chord, it's too low of a bass note for a good sound. You'd want that note to be F. you know, instead of the A there. So the point is you have to fret the notes up the neck. And so depending upon how you do it, that's going to be more difficult than, say, just not fretting, right? And playing E minor like this. Now, as far as the thumb position, well, it's going to change based upon what you're doing. And this is why there's a lot more to this than players just saying, well, stick your thumb on the back, or anytime someone says, well, your thumb should be here, it's wrong. So there's just so much more to this than most people realize. All right, so to wrap this up, I want to give you 3 songs you can check out that use the F chord. And the first one is Let It Be by the Beatles. There's that F major 7. And I could play the little F like this. Right, so there was the little F, right, that a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to play. You can use it in so many songs. It's a great chord. The next one would be Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. The majority of the song's just F to G. Great song. Or Have You Ever Seen the Rain, which the chorus starts on F. Have you ever seen the rain? And there's like a little lick, something like. So there you have it, 7 ways to play the F chord on guitar. And if you've struggled with unlocking your fretboard and being able to know your way around for lead and rhythm guitar, then go to johnmcclennan.com/fretboard guide and get your hands on my free fretboard guide PDF, which is going to show you 5 must-know chords and scales to unlock your fretboard. Again, it's completely for free. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/fretboard guide now. As always, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might like this one next.